All right, good evening and welcome to the December NPU-Y general body meeting. I placed in the chat a link to our general body handout folder, which holds our agenda, minutes, and any other pertinent information that we've received throughout the month. If you have more than one member on the call, please make sure that you note their name in the chat so we can count them towards their voting eligibility in our attendance records. Additionally, if you have a city department representative, if you are a city department representative or a city official or a representative or of one of those officials, please make sure that your information is in the chat so we can call on you in the order that you are shown in the comments. First, I want to thank all of our members and representatives for joining us. This is our last NPU-Y meeting of 2023. So thank you everybody that has made this a positive and productive year. We appreciate your time that you've given to the community. It's very well received from our members. A few housekeeping rules, please stay muted. You can use the raise hand reaction and we'll call to you in the order that it shows on the presentation list. And if you are on a phone, please use *9 to raise your hand or *6 to mute and unmute yourself. We do follow Robert's Rules of Order during our meetings. I please ask that you keep all of your comments and questions relevant to the general body. And if you have any direct questions or comments for any of our public representatives or our committee members, that you place them in the chat or email them directly. You can also email secretarynpuy@gmail.com. You can also use nonverbal reactions in order to keep us on a timely manner. First up, I would like to approve the minutes. Let me go ahead and share that on the screen for everybody. So here are our minutes as presented from last month. There was one adjustment made to our voting for the LRB application as it was per our eligible voters. So that was to change from 14 yes to 10 yes, and from 15 no to 12 no. Also from 4 abstentions to 2 abstentions. I would like to, with the no corrections, I would like to move to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
All right, as there are no corrections, we do not need to take a formal vote. So we will move to approval of the agenda. Here's the agenda for this month. There have been no amendments to the agenda. I would like to motion to adopt the agenda. Do I have a second?
Madam Chair, Paul's hand is raised.
Paul, you can have the floor. Paul, you are muted at the time. Paul, you're still muted.
Just go ahead and do this next step. My question is after that.
Okay. I'll call on you right after the agenda is approved. So I motion to approve the agenda. May I have a second?
Seconded, Rebecca.
Thank you. Are there any in opposition of the agenda? All right, as I hear none, the agenda is approved. Paul, do you need the floor again?
Yeah, I just want to ask about that extended, in the minutes, the extended information on the vote for the LRB application.
Yep, so as we take our vote during our meetings, we do through the poll as well as through our chat. Those votes are all counted. After the meeting, we go ahead and correspond those with our eligible voters. It's in order to save time for our members on our meetings, especially with last month being overtime. So our meeting, we had some members that voted that were not eligible to vote based on their voting, our voting tally.
Yeah, but the question I wanted to ask, could there have been enough confusion that the wrong vote was passed on to the city? Because I understand the LRB, I've heard, now maybe it's not right, the LRB application that came before us ended up on the consent agenda in the LRB agenda.
It was not, and it was confirmed with the LRB that it was for a denial. We'll actually speak on this in our announcements portion if we want to discuss it further. But we were able to relay the denial to the LRB through our voting report, which is shared from the Department of City Planning.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, you may.
Paul, I think the most important thing here is that we have a level of checks and verification. As it turns out, after the meeting, there was a determination made there were ineligible voters and that it changed the vote from initially 14, was it 14 yes and 15 no's? Essentially, it's still the motion to vote in favor failed, but again, it's a
No,
good
if it got on the consent agenda, that means the vote was not correctly passed on to the city, but maybe I got that information wrong.
That's right. It's incorrect information. It was on the denial calendar.
All right.
All right,
I don't
thank
have
you.
any more to say about it then.
All right, thank you so much. So we will move on to item number 4 on our agenda, which is reports from our city departments. I'll call on the city departments based on their representation in the chat. So please make sure that you have your name and contact information in the chat. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. If you have any questions for department representatives, if it does not pertain to the general body, please leave them in the chat and they will contact you directly through the chat, or you may use their contact information to email them directly. First I call to the floor is Captain Pettis.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm Reginald Pettis, the Assistant Zone Commander in Zone 3. First, I'll give you the overall year-to-date stats in Zone 3, and then I'll drill down to your particular neighborhood. So overall, year-to-date in Zone 3, we are minus 6% in crime. We're very proud of that. We are down in every single category except one. We're down in homicide, rape, aggravated assault, robbery, burglary, theft from motor vehicle, shoplifting, all other larceny. The we're up 90% in motor vehicle theft. We're at 976 as compared to 514 last year. Overall, the city of Atlanta is up. Can't find the number right now. I'll come back to that. I think we're up 90% and the city's up about 40% overall in motor vehicle thefts. And you guys know the problems we've been having with Kias and Hyundais. Yeah. Okay. So as far as your neighborhood is concerned, 307 is the main beat. That's the beat number that most of your neighborhood makes up. And year to date for 307, we are, at this time last year, we had 259 total crimes on 307's beat. Right now we have 176. So we dropped from 259 at this time last year to 176. Again, we're very proud of that as well. There are a few things that we put in play that we think contributed to that reduction. And I'll be real quick here. I know I'm running out. We developed a bicycle unit for this beat specifically, and we share location with the fire department at fire station number 2. Beat 307 has to be staffed 24/7. So, I've told you guys before, we have 13 beats in Zone 3. Usually we can staff 9, and 307 is one that we make sure we staff all the time. Our crime suppression unit is very active in this footprint. We've got officers that monitor our Fusus cameras. Those are the 4 cameras that you guys were talking about earlier. The new 4 that are going to be put up in addition to the ones that we already have. And those locations are Lakewood Avenue in Livermore, Lakewood Avenue and Dorothy, Richmond Avenue and Showen Street, and Richmond Avenue and Gould Street. I can't tell you exactly when those cameras will be put up, but I know some of you are copied on that email that Councilmember Winston put out. We're very excited about that. And one more thing, overall in Zone 3, we've increased our traffic stops by 3,000 this year. So we did an extra 3,000 traffic stops. That's an increase of 19%. We've recovered 500 firearms. That's a 17% increase. The next closest zone has 360 recoveries. We've got 500. Last thing, we've arrested 501 wanted persons compared to 299 last year. That's a 60% increase or 68% increase in Zone 3 alone. Sorry, I ran over.
That's all right. We do appreciate it, as this is usually a hot topic in our community. I'm going to raise the floor for any questions before I hand it over to our Public Safety Committee Chairperson. Do we have any questions from the general body? I guess I see no hands yet. Gloria Hawkins-Wynn, you have the floor as a Public Safety Committee as we piggyback APD together.
Yeah, thanks very much, Madam Chair. The answer to the question, Captain Pettis, is CM Winston expects those cameras to be installed. He says, I expect these to be installed by the end of December. I will add there are currently APD cameras which can monitor both businesses at 1630 and 1660. That's directly from CM Winston. So the answer again is that by the end of December, those locations previously named at Lakewood, Livermore, Dorothy, Showen, and Gould, the expectation is within the next 2 weeks that those cameras will be installed. And I believe you mentioned earlier, FUSIS. Would you give what that acronym is? Apparently, that's the monitoring system.
I don't know what the acronym means, but it's the
okay.
same as you've heard us talk about Connect Atlanta, where businesses can register their cameras, meaning that we can watch them at any time, and private residents can, businesses can integrate their cameras. So they're integrated into our FUSA system. I'll be back with what that stands for. And private residents can register them. So we know that you have a camera. So if a crime is committed on your streets, you're already in our database, so we can send you an email that says, hey, please share your footage from this date and time to this link.
And lastly, one of the big questions that have come up recently, my understanding is there are roughly 1,200 individuals that live in Lakewood in particular, which is where many of these camera issues have arisen, and that there are 5, I believe, 24/7 operating convenience stores. The question has arisen is why the need for 24/7? What we've learned is that the state essentially regulates Sunday sales. We cannot regulate the hours that the business is open, but we are able per, not state, but I believe it's city ordinances, we can regulate the time that beer and wine sales cease during that business. So that is an avenue that is being sought now, the ability to curtail the hours, because it appears it's after dark, somewhere between, I would say 8, 9, 10 in the evening and mid-morning, that much of what has occurred in terms of serious Part 1 crimes. Lastly, in that thread, we were also CC'd the solicitor's office. We've had one successful nuisance action in the last 3 years. It was under Solicitor Andrew Hughes. We have had Burns who've come in, and Tobe Johnson. He recently appeared, but I think that's another avenue that we're seeking as to how we can get more engagement from the city solicitors. I think that's the fullness of it. And we're really repeating this from a thread that took place this past week with certain individuals, CM Winston, APD, Captain Pettis, and certain community members that I would even say are part of the Public Safety Committee. Any questions? Go ahead.
I can update you on the 1660 Jonesboro. The Little Bears is the source of much crime. I had a conversation with Deputy City Solicitor, Miss Erica Smith today. She and I talked about this back in May. I've sent her calls for service, 911 calls for that location a couple of times. The best update that I can give you is that it is on her desk to be worked on as a nuisance property, and we hope that we can get a similar result that we did at the business at 12 Atlanta Avenue, where they were fined big money for paying out on their lottery machines. They got their lottery machines taken away, and they have had their hours curtailed. So we're looking for a similar result, but I can't exactly divulge how we're going to go about that.
Well, I think the Public Safety Committee is
Oh, yeah,
poised to
that
reach
that
out
is
to her.
time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that is something that we've been communicating with APD very frivolously throughout the last year, and we're really trying to work towards that. And just to make an additional note on this, NPU-Y is hosting a public safety committee meeting, which will be January 24th. So I'll put that information in the chat so that everybody is able to join if they wish. If you're not able to join, please make sure that you email any comments or suggestions, questions, things of that nature to the Secretary NPU-Y email so that our executive board and our public safety committee can be able to address those.
Madam Chair, would you let them know it's by Zoom and it will likely include Major Zone Commander and maybe CM Winston and Lewis?
Yes, it will. And I did put the information in the chat, so there is a Zoom link there. It will be up on our events page on the website shortly, as we just got this link today. Are there any other questions from the general body for Captain Pettis with APD or for our Public Safety Committee? All right, as I see none, thank you so much, Captain Pettis, for staying on the call, and enjoy your holiday and be safe.
Thank you, everybody. Have a happy holiday and a happy new year. And you guys be safe as well. See you next year.
Thank you, Major Captain Pettis.
Bye-bye.
Next we call to the floor is Gerard Jackson with Park and Rec.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I will be putting a flyer in the chat to outline all the programs that we offer throughout the city of Atlanta. It's an initiative that we're doing not only talk about the parks that's being run daily here, but other activities that are going on around, so you can be aware of those and participate. I don't know if everybody on this NPU was informed, but last week the mayor opened his very first esports lab at Thomasville Recreation Center, which is right down the street from your guys' community. Right now, that center is open, and esports programming is free of charge. I will also put a flyer in the chat that goes on the open house that's going to be happening on December the 20th at Thomasville Recreation Site. It's an opportunity to be able to see the lab, see the coaches, ask any questions about the esports experience and what we're trying to accomplish, and just get a general feel of this new program that, if it succeeds, will be brought out to multiple centers throughout the city of Atlanta. At this time, if there's any questions or concerns with Parks and Rec, please let me know.
All right, are there any questions from the general body for Park and Rec? All right, as I see none, thank you so much for being on the call. We look forward to what we can bring to NPU-Y for the new esports program.
Thank you for having me.
Next I call is Pamela Moore with ATL 311. You have the floor.
Good evening. My name is Baina Sullivan. I'm with ATL 311 in replacement of, and I just wanted to let you know we didn't have any updates. However, I do want to let everyone know how they can report any non-emergency issues, such as potholes, water main breaks, any missed trash, code violations, or challenges within the city services. 311 offers 5 ways to resolution. You can dial us 311 on your phone anytime Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You may email us at atl311@atlantaga.gov. You can set up your own account on our website, www.atl311.com. You may download the ATL 311 mobile app and chat with our virtual assistant, or you can contact us on social media to report any issues. Our contact information and survey link has been placed in the chat. I am here today to answer any questions about 311 services, document any cases requiring escalation, and have someone follow up with you directly. Actually, I will follow up with you directly. I will also ask that those who are able to use the chat function, please utilize that for the time, and let this remaining time be allowed for questions and reporting issues for those who cannot are not able to use the chat, such as on the phone or anything, or in person. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the general body? All right, as I see none, please note that we do place the report that we receive from ATL 311 into our general body meeting folder. We also put that on our website. It would be under our community updates. So you are able to receive those reports online. You can also reach out to the executive board if you would like to receive those reports as we receive them as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you too. Thank you for being on the call.
Thank you.
All right, next we have for code enforcement, Officer Cofield, you have the floor.
She's
Officer
muted.
Officer Cofield, you are muted still.
There we are. Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Officer Cofield with Code Enforcement for the City of Atlanta. I actually put something in the chat. I'm still trying to get back to where I am. I'm sorry. But what I put in the chat, a lot of people have been asking me about open records requests for code enforcement cases that we have here at Code Enforcement. You can do that, and it is in the chat on how you do that. I really don't have anything other than I had a case on Lakewood, and I think 1779 is the actual address. I'm supposed to do an initial for that particular case, but I think I need to look into it as a nuisance instead of just looking at the vacant lot. They say that it has 1769 Lakewood. That's the address. So I need to look into it further and see if it's not in the courts for a nuisance. I think it's the vacant lot next to 1779. So I need to look into that further. I kind of went by there, but I didn't actually have the actual right address. So it is 1769 where somebody put in a case for Lakewood Avenue today. So that's the only thing I have on my books, other than me and Erica kind of working as far as we're trying to get the nuisance cases as well of for NPU-Y. We're trying to get those cases worked out as well. And we're going backwards and forward on those particular cases. That's about it for me. You can look in the chat and ask open records requests are done if the case has been closed. So if it's been complied out or it has went to court, then you can actually ask for open records request. But that's it for me. And I hope y'all have a wonderful holiday.
Appreciate it. Do we have any questions for code enforcement from the general body? Gloria Hawkins-Wayne, you have your hand raised.
Hey, Madam Chair, on Saturday, CM Lewis held a neighborhood leaders kind of symposium at City Hall. A component of that was code enforcement. Director Talley and Ms. Lyles both appeared. What Ms. Cofield, Inspector Cofield, what I think we can do is provide you with, I think it's like a 8-page handout that, you know, we can do it in, it's a flyer. But I think if we submit it to the body, it gives a step-by-step, easy read, kind of fun filled with some, you know, some examples of what issues are addressed by certain things. So do you have a copy of that? Ms. Lyles and Ms. Daphne were there do you have a copy that maybe you could share or drop in the chat of that?
I don't have the actual copy. I didn't even know that they had did that. Oh, I guess on my behalf. I wasn't asked to come to it. So I would need to obtain that, and I could actually send it to the chair upon me getting it tomorrow, I think, if Daphne's not on vacation. I will actually ask Supervisor Lyles if she has one, and I can try to obtain that. But yeah, I will get access to it.
Madam Chair, do you mind if we could post it in our like the NPU-Y.org, but it's a go-to guide, very simple, straightforward, but I think it answers a lot of the questions folks ask all the time.
Yeah, we can absolutely post that. Under our NPU website, we do have a portion on there, which is, it's under Get Involved, and it's our community development. So anything that's actively being worked on, we try to update and add files there. So we'll be able to post it up, online once we receive it.
Okay, I'll get access to it and I'll get it to you as soon as possible.
Sounds wonderful. Do we have any other questions? All right, as I see none, thank you so much, Officer Copill. We appreciate you being on the call.
All right, good deal. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday.
You too.
Thank you.
And so there are a couple other elected officials, reps in, I think Devontae Jennings and maybe Quentin Pace, but definitely Devontae.
Yeah, Gloria, hold on. Let me go ahead and call on and finish up this section. Do we have any other city department representatives that are not in the chat that have not been called on at this time? All right, as I see none, we will move forward to our city elected officials. Again, I ask that you please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. Do we have any city officials or the representatives on the call? All right, as I see none, I thank everybody for being on the call from our city. We do appreciate you spending this time with us through the holiday season. We'll go ahead and move to our committee reports. Again, please keep those comments to 2 minutes or less. Any comments or questions for our committees, please hold them till after the reports are finished so that we can have all the questions asked at one time. First, I'll ask is our zoning committee.
Good evening, everyone. Jacob and I are both on the call. Lots of activities going on within zoning, within NPU-Y. We normally have a zoning committee meeting the last Wednesday of every month. This being the holidays, we are going to forego this zoning committee. We had rescheduled it initially for the 20th of December. We've decided to go ahead and forego that meeting, and we'll return to our normal schedule at the end of January. There are a couple of notable zoning requests coming in. One is for a multi-use affordable development for St. Vincent de Paul. We'll be discussing that at the zoning committee next time. Jacob, anything that you want to add?
Bob, you did great. Happy holidays, everybody. I hope everyone has a happy new year and a wonderful Christmas or whatever else you are celebrating. So happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next we have is our Parks, Beltline, and Environmentals. You have the floor.
Hey, good evening. I have nothing to report. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Next is our, I know that Monique Nunley is not our education chair anymore, but do you have anything that you'd like to report? Actually, I don't see her on the call. We will go on to our, let's see, our ad hoc for special projects.
Hello, I'm like, oh, that would be me. We are closing out the grants tomorrow during a meeting. And then if anyone is interested in being the project manager for next year, there is an opening, right, Nicole?
Yes, there is. So we are looking for a new ad hoc chairperson.
Yes. And that's it for me. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much. And I will put in the chat the information for the ad hoc for special projects meeting in case you would like to join. It is open to the public. However, it's mostly for us to do closeout. In there also on the chat will be the Unity Day email address. So if you are able to send any pictures or videos that you may have taken during the event, we would love to include that on our website as well as through our closeout report. Do you have any other committees that have not, that I did not recognize? All right, I open the floor to questions for our committees. All right, as I see none, we will move on. Next up is our APAB report. Gloria Hawkins-Wynn.
Oh, good evening. We are in the throes and just finalized 2 bylaws. It's been a major renovation or revisit of the bylaws. We now only have 2 elected individuals, the chair and the vice chair. I was nominated again for the vice chair role. And we also have eliminated, what is it that we eliminated? Oh my God, we eliminated standing committees. Again, I will provide, as soon as we get a finalized copy, I will provide, perhaps at the NPU-Y.org side, a copy of the bylaws. We still have 125 appointments available through various boards. We're what's called a base organization, which stands for boards, authorities, commissions, etc. But APAB has a good number of slots to TADAC, which is the BeltLine Committee, ACRB. Those are 2 of the biggies. In fact, we are fully staffed right now in terms of X through Z. We get 1 representative to APAB, and I think that's Adrian Proler. But that's where we are. We are still looking to celebrate community awards. We have a little bit of money left, and we, have just pushed through the year, and that money's still available. But it's called Community Matters, and we select Troy was nominated. But again, it's been pushing things through as we all got back to a new groove this past year. So there you are.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for our APAB representative? All right, as I see none, we will move on to voting matters. Let me share my screen again for you. So for our voting matters today, we have 2 BZA applications. The first is V23-153, and that is for 1631 Burton Street, which is in South Atlanta. This is for setback reductions. Do we have the applicant on the call? All right, as I do not see any hand raised. So this application was previously deferred back to the South Atlanta Civic League so that they could meet with the community. I will go ahead and motion for a deferral as they are not present.
I'll second that. Jacob Mills.
One,
You can have the floor. Paul, do you need the floor? You're muted at the time.
no, I just want to know, did we get any feedback from the South Atlanta Civic League on a vote they might have had?
They, from my understanding, they had not met with them. Do we have a South Atlanta Civic League representative? We do not at this time. We've been in communication with the applicant, and we're aware that they were not present for the meeting. So we kind of were already pre-warned that this would be deferred again. The motion on the floor still stands to defer the applicant. I'll go ahead and launch the poll on here. Just as a reminder for voting, you must be a residential constituent 18 years or older with a primary residence within NPU-Y's designated area, or a business constituent, which you may have 1 representative represent your business. Please make sure that if you do have more than 1 person on the call, that you do place their additional vote in the chat, or if you are a host or co-host, that you place your vote in the chat as well. With those stipulations for voting, any business or residential constituent must have attended 3 meetings in the last 12 months in order to be a voting member. All right, and we'll now open the poll. And this is a motion to defer the applicant back to the South Atlanta Civic League so that it can meet with the community prior to continuing with the NPU-Y meetings.
Again, Madam Chair, my vote is in the chat.
So yes means
To
Um,
defer,
to defer.
correct. All right, we'll leave it open for just a few more seconds. And again, if you are unable to vote because you are on a phone call, please use *6 to mute or unmute yourself. All right, we will be closing the poll. The poll is now closed. We have 17 yes and 0 no's and 2 abstentions. That includes the votes in the chat. So the motion carries to defer the applicant.
Madam Chair, quick question.
Yes.
What's the difference between a Y BZA versus LRB?
A BZA.
I'm sorry, not LRB, but ZRB. Why
So there are different types of zoning changes. So when you are doing a variance, it is an adjustment to the zoning conditions. When you are changing your zoning title, which would be your classification of, say, an R4 to an R3 or to a PDH, that classification would follow for all of those ordinances. So this is a variance to their set zoning classification.
So it doesn't change the zoning stricture. It is some, what is it, amendment to the rules of that stricture. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. It only follows with that one property for those specific variants that is applied. All right, next we will move on to V23-180. This is for 46 Bisbee Avenue Southeast. Again, this is in the South Atlanta community. Do we have a representative of this application on the call today? All right, as I do not see them on here, I did just speak with them today and asked if they would like to make sure that we noted a voluntary deferral, but did not hear back from them prior to the meeting. Once again, they were to meet with the South Atlanta Civic League and were not able to meet at the scheduled date. So I will go ahead and motion for a deferral on the matter as well.
Second, Rebecca.
Right, so this is a motion to defer V-23-180 to meet with the South Atlanta Civic League prior to moving forward on the NPU meeting. Once again, I'll launch the poll. For those that are just joining, please make sure that if you have more than one member on the call that you place their vote in the chat. So we'll leave it open for another 30 seconds. All right, we'll be closing the poll. Poll results are 15 yes, 0 no, and 1 abstention. That is to include the one vote in the chat. So I know that we have been in communication with both of these applications, so hopefully we'll be able to have them on our agenda in January. All right, moving on to other items. Next we have is our presentations, which we have none this month. So we will move on to old business. Last month, we voted in most of our executive board. However, we had 2 positions that were still to be filled. That was for a treasurer and the Assistant Secretary of Memberships and Communication. We have 2 nominees on the floor. For Treasurer, we have Melody Ford. And for the Assistant Secretary of Memberships and Communication, we have April Williams. First, I will call on Melody Ford. Do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I will call April Williams. Do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Would either of you like to speak to the community before there is a motion to vote on the matter? And I'll put you on the spot, sorry. Both of these members have been in our community for quite some time, so we're very pleased to have them. They're also reaching communities that we have not had a member on our executive board on this past year or the year prior. So hopefully this will give some new light to what's going on in our community.
Well, Nicole, I hope most people know me from South Atlanta Civic League. I'm parliamentarian.
I'm April Williams. I live in Park Place South. I've lived there for about 15 years, and this will be my first time taking on an active role with the on the board with NPU-Y.
April, also tell them you've been active in the HOA or the leadership group there within Park Place South.
Yes, I serve on the HOA board at Park Place South as well.
In addition to your credentials as a real estate attorney.
Thank you, Gloria. Yes, I am also a real estate closing attorney.
So I would like to open the floor for a motion. We may motion for a slate vote as we have 2 unopposed nominations for the 2 open positions.
Motion to vote by slate for the nominations.
Do I have a second?
Gloria, second.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I will open the poll once again. Again, just to repeat the, oops, that is the wrong one. Let me do, we have a slate vote on here. Give me one moment. There we go. So this is a motion to approve both applicants as or both nominees as a slate vote for both the treasurer and the assistant secretary of membership and communications. Again, I just wanted to remind everybody that to be an eligible voter, you must be a residential constituent or business constituent. Businesses are allowed to have 1 voting member, and you must have met 3 meetings in the last 12 months. So we'll keep it open for just another moment. Those of you that have more than 1 person on the call, please make sure that you place that in the chat. And those that are on a phone, please use the unmute, which is *6. All right, we'll be closing the chat or closing the poll. All right, closing the poll at this time. So we have 18 approve, 0 deny, and 1 abstain. And that is to include the 1 vote in the chat. So congratulations and welcome to the executive board. I look forward to working with you this next year. All right, moving on to our next agenda item, we have our amendment of our 2024 bylaws. So I'm going to pull up our revisions. This is a red line draft so that you can see what was suggested by DCP. Previously, we had, during our election of officers, we had our city planners manage these elections. DCP has recommended that we move away from using the city planner as an active role and more as an oversight to our meetings, so that way they can take their own minutes and manage our voting regulations. So with this, we are changing section B, and this is to change from the current chairperson shall abdicate his or her position to the assigned NPU planner for the city. And this is to change to ratified NPU-Y nominations committee chairperson, who shall preside over the elections of the new officer. we made the addition that the new nominations committee chairperson shall be approved by the membership of the NPU-Y no later than the September regularly scheduled general body meeting. I will open the floor for any questions or for a motion on the matter.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, repeat that again, the new language.
The new
Hmm.
language will read, the current chairperson shall abdicate his or her position to the ratified NPU-Y nominations committee chairperson, who shall preside over the elections of the new officers. The nominations committee chairperson shall be approved by the membership of NPU-Y no later than September regularly scheduled general body meeting.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Do we have any questions from the community? Or a motion to vote on the amendment? Do you have a motion to approve the amendment?
Madam Chair, Gloria, so moved.
You would have to vote.
Second, Rebecca.
So the motion is to approve the bylaws amendment. We will launch the poll.
Typically, Madam, there's a little bit of discussion after the motion, and I just wanted to offer up a little something.
Yeah, the floor is open for discussion, so that's why I asked if there wanted to be a motion. If we want any more communication on it while it's still open, you're more than welcome to. Or if we wish to relaunch the poll to keep communication open and have more of a discussion on it, we're more than happy to.
I just wanted to give some narrative as to, you know, how that may have occurred. That came while I was during a bylaw committee that language was developed, but I just wanted to give some basis for why that was there, and that further to let the body know that if in fact those elections do not occur in November, then my understanding per the ordinance, then DCP does take control of the elections. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that is still staying in our bylaws.
Yeah.
So this is only to change who presides over the elections so that the city planner does not have to learn how we run elections prior to our meeting, and then also be able to run other NPU elections. So we'll leave this open for just a few more moments. We'll go ahead and close the poll. So the poll is 14 yes, 0 no, and 1 abstention. That is to include the 1 yes in the chat. So the motion carries to amend the bylaws for the 2024's bylaw. Thank you, guys. We moved through this pretty quick today.
Yeah.
Jump back over. So next up is our announcements. We're going to be out of here really early for the holidays. I do want to open the floor for any announcements from the general body before I go through announcements that I may have.
Madam Chair, Muriel's here from SVP, and I thought she was going to come on and give a little bit of update on the site visit today. Muriel, are you there?
Hey, I am here. It was really nice to get together with neighbors and we walked around I'm sorry, I'm having a brain meltdown, Kirkwood, and looked at some really attractive architecture and just saw what people like and want to see in the development project at 1700 Lakewood. It was a great morning.
Thank you. And just so anybody knows, SVDP is St. Vincent de Paul, who is looking to do a rezoning application development in the Lakewood Heights community.
Madam Chair, I forwarded you a few of the photos that we took of that venue, and kind of explained to folks that it's a square footage very similar to the downtown Lakewood, and it was one of the most chosen build types during the many sensing sessions. But I think Muriel and others had a firsthand opportunity to literally see what some of us had previously felt that we thought we would desire to see. So I don't know if you can post any of those or put them in the chat. I think Aubrey took them. Travis's wife took those photos today.
Yeah, we can put them in the community folder. I'm not able to share them from my phone onto my computer at this time, but we'll definitely put them in that general body meeting folder so everybody can see. And then, of course, this application will come forth to NPU-Y after it goes through Lakewood Heights Neighborhood Association. So we'll be able to see what their plans are from there as well.
Thank you, Mary.
Absolutely. Do we have any other announcements from the general body? All right, as I see none, go ahead and raise your hands if some do come up. We have a few to go over here. So one of the suggestions from the Department of City Planning was asking if any of the NPUs would be willing to change their monthly meeting date. The changes were just a slight adjustment on our week. One of the dates that the executive board had selected was the third Tuesday. Being that it was one day following our Monday meeting. We will not be voting on this today, but we do want to get that information out and see if there were any comments or suggestions on the matter. I am going to put in the chat the other dates that were suggested as well. These dates were the second Wednesday, third Tuesday, third Wednesday, and the fourth Thursday. And most likely those are ones that would not conflict with any DCP meetings or our neighborhood association meetings. However, we do have a lot of members that are active through other community boards in the city. So we want to make sure that we're not interfering if there is to be a vote to change. So with that, if you have any questions, I do believe that we have Leah LaRue on the phone as well. So if you have any questions about this before we move to other announcements, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, as I see none at this time, go through a couple other announcements. Councilmember Winston was able to share with us that South Bend Park was able to receive funding to get 30 new cameras. So they're still working to receive those investments, but it is a vital project for our community. If you have any other suggestions on camera locations or other projects that we can work with our city council members, please make sure to email secretary@npui@gmail.com. Carver STEAM Academy was able to receive an AT&T sponsorship for a laptop distribution. The LRB BP Food Mart application that came before us last month, the hearing was on December 12th. The motion was to deny the application. However, it was approved at 3-2. They did not see that there was enough criminal activity to deny the vote. We will be writing a letter to the mayor's office, as this is the way to appeal any decision made by the LRB board. So at this time, we do have a letter that you can customize if you would like to put your own information in there. We'll also be writing one from the NPU-Y standpoint, as this was denied during our last meeting and also denied from the Lakewood Heights community. I know this has had some communication go through a few people. Do you have any comments or questions on this?
I do briefly, Madam Chair. There are 25 participants in the room. If each of us sent a letter expressing the chagrin of 5 24/7 convenience stores in a 1,200 resident area and the chagrin that it's caused. Specifically, we're talking about the BP Circle K. But again, as you heard earlier, the city is and can regulate the hours by which these convenience stores sell alcohol. But specifically, we need this campaign for the mayor, who is the last or the final arbiter as to whether that license will be granted, that you all write and with feeling that what the chagrin is, how these convenience stores have been the scourge of Lakewood, and that it makes no sense that they operate 24/7 with alcohol. So again, I think what's been presented is the contact information for Mayor Dickens, but we're also looking to see internally if we can have an audience with Mayor Dickens. And when I say that, there's a belief that if we may be able to have a direct ear. So we're looking to see if that's possible. And of course, we will, make the entire body aware of the date and time, possibly Zoom meeting where he will hear us. Because again, we don't think the board literally got to hear the data that we had. And as a result, even without the data, it was still a 3-2 decision.
Yes, and so here's a copy of a proposed letter. This is something that you can download with that link if you choose to make any adjustments or anything, and then put your information on the bottom as to who is writing that comment to the mayor. This will be added on to the NPU-Y's recommendation. And just to give you some clarity, that we were informed that there were no criminal activity at the location. However, our APD Zone 3 officers have informed us that there were 163 calls at that location and that 57 of them were 911. So we do want to make sure that the community is heard, and as it was denied in both the neighborhood and the NPU level, we will work to make sure that it is heard at the mayor's office.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
My pleasure. Next I want to make sure everybody knows that we have a few links that you can reach out to if you're looking for some more information about our community and what we do. We obviously have our NPU-Y.org website, but we also host all of our videos from our general body meetings on YouTube. You can also find our meeting information on the City of Atlanta's website. We have a committee of technology. It's called NPU-TAG. We met this month to bring improvements to the city's technology and how that could greatly affect our NPUs, both how we receive information from the city and how we share that information with our community. So I want to give a big shout out to Troy Nunnally for suggesting Google Worksheets, as that is something that they are looking into. So we are going to meet again in the next few months. So if you have any suggestions on other ways to improve how that communication is handled between the city and the NPUs and how we are able to incorporate different technology in that aspect, please go ahead and email us and we can relay that information. Two more things and then we're done. January's NPU-Y general body meeting will be January 16th due to a holiday. So it is the same registration link. However, if you did already register, you may have to re-register. So that's due to Martin Luther King Day. Lastly, our February general body meeting currently is being held on President's Day. So if anybody wants to suggest that that be moved to a Tuesday, so you can get a 3-day weekend, you just have to let us know so we know if you'd like to change it. I'm with you, Rebecca, on yes to move it. So we will discuss this at our next executive board meeting. Traditionally, we have always moved it from President's Day. However, the city does not actually recognize President's Day. So unfortunately, our city planners still work on those days. That is it for announcements. Are there any others from the general body?
Yes, ma'am. How did I overlook this? It has been well celebrated on this Thursday, but confirm with the Y by calling, because sometimes it vacillates to Friday. It is the last major food drive for the community. It has been enormously successful. The Y has had some philanthropic donations, and we partner with the food bank. When I say enormously successful, it is good quality food and produce. We've had folks lining, we've had to do a little traffic control, no registration involved. I would always say give a call to the front desk to see if there's any changes or any suggestion, because it's become so popular. But it's an effort to undergird the community with what I consider to be real food, good food, anywhere from organics to the staples that many children use that maybe some of us is not as grown-ups. But it is this Thursday or Friday. It is the last push, and it's really to push out the end of the year in celebration for the holidays.
Thank you so much. Any other announcements? All right, as I see no hands raised. Oh, Ramona Hassan, you have the floor.
Yes, Lori, I checked with the Y last week and it's the 22nd.
Yes, great.
22nd, which is going to be Friday, and it's at 12:30.
It's 12:30 the lineup, but always get there a little early.
Oh,
and
you gotta
people-
get there early to 12:30, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
supposed to be
But-
12:30 this Friday the 22nd.
Very good. Have you been enjoying it, Ramona?
I did it years ago. This year I did Fulton Fresh, so this is I'll see. I hadn't done it this year, so I'll see. I'll
Very good.
be glad to report back on it when
Very,
once I
very
do it.
good. Very good.
Thank you so much. As we have no other hands raised, we'll go ahead and hand this over to our planners report. Elizabeth Clappin, you have the floor.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Actually, we have very little to report this month. While there are no active NPU University events going on in December, I would remind everybody that while you have some time off, you might want to peruse because we do have the classes listed online that are coming up in 2024. So if you want to get a jump on what you're looking at for next year for NPU University, now would be the time to do it. Other than that, just hope everybody has a very healthy and happy holiday and a good new year.
Thank you so much. So thank you everybody for joining this evening. I know it's the end of the year and we are into our holiday season. I do want to thank all of our executive board and our committees for all the hard work that they put through this year, and look forward to the next year with everybody. I will motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. Happy
Right.
holidays, everyone.
second,
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Is there anybody in opposition to closing the meeting? All right, as we had none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much and happy holidays.
Happy
Thank you very
holidays.
much,
Happy
Nicole. Great
holidays,
meeting.
NPU-Y. Take care,
Yes.
y'all.
Yes.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays. Yes. Very
Best.
nice. Very nice.